So what's up guys to a brand new video, and today I'm gonna talk about the Decepticon members of the Rise of Unicron fan-made film made by H&F Productions along with James Malanika Studios. Recently they did release the Autobot showcase trailer, plus they discussed and told us a lot about the Autobot characteristics, the design, their alternate mode, their robot mode, their personality, what can be explored, and even I made certain theories on like the possible thing. Especially Cliffjumper is the one, since he's newly introduced from the Autobots. So what his character could be is like a big mystery to us, but I think I got most of it. I think I got the blueprint of what his personality and how he's going to be the exact show stealer of the film. But looking at the Decepticons, the first thing that actually bothers me is the numbers of the Decepticons, because in the Bayverse, usually they're like tanks of Decepticons, like Blackout, Brawl, and few others still out there. And second is the number of the Decepticons. Well, like I said, it's seven, and the Autobots are technically eight members if you include Cliffjumper. And this, it kind of bothers me because I feel like like the last night, Megatron did have a cast with like in the last night, like Nitro Zeus, Onslaught, Dreadbot, Barricade, Mohawk, and they went up with just Hound, Drift, Crosses, and B. And yet, the Decepticons lost to the, like Drift, Crosses, and B. But that's also because of Grimlock assisting the Autobots. But yet, that team already lost. Like, for example, someone like Onslaught, who we know in Transformers media is a freaking heavy hitter. Okay, that guy is no joke. He's a freaking tank. He's equivalent or stronger than Brawl, who we saw in Transformers 1, who's extremely powerful, a powerhouse. But in Onslaught's case, being the Combaticon leader, his arc was completely wasted, and he got easily nerfed by Crossass and Drift. But here in this Rise of Unicron, they did promises a lot of bots screen time for both the Decepticons and the Autobots. So yeah. Now let's look at the possible Autobots with the given info from the production team members, and let's see who's who. All right. Now, first in this bunch, the obvious one who we know is number one Decepticon who I labeled, and number two the Decepticon who I labeled are obviously Megatron and Barricade. And how do I know this? Well, guys, just look at them. They look just like the TLK designs, just that concept arts. And I think they're gonna get some newly upgrades or new designs or some edits, because as we can see, for Megatron's case, he has two horns, which, well, in the last night he only had like one, and that too I think it was the right hand. Was it the right hand? I don't know if it's the right or left hand, but it was somewhere, and he lost his arm in the final battle. So we can clearly see some new designs, and probably he was granted a new arm. But I don't know who gave it to him. It could be Quintessa, or it could also be Unicron, the main villain of the movie. Not just that, we also got Barricade, who was the first Decepticon who was teased to us a long time ago. Like when the production was working, I think it was the animations. I think we got a Barricade teaser already. But they all kind of support their TLK designs, but compared to the Autobots, who even, for example, someone like Crossass, who was like the same Chevrolet Corvette C7 model he had since Age of Extinction and the last night. He's now a completely a new concept design, which is I think it was the Corvette C9 concept Stingray. Yeah, so he was like kind of modified, and even Hound was modified along with the Drift, and even the entire team actually, even Cliffjumper, Hot Rod, and mainly Bumblebee. So I think out of the both, I think Megatron might have minimal changes because I think they might do the same thing as what we saw with Optimus's design in the Autobot Showcase trailer. So they might not have more changes like visible changes. They might have some minimal yet detailed changes from the movie. As for Barricade, I think he falls the same the same reason as Bumblebee and Optimus, but mainly Bumblebee because Bumblebee did get a new car and a new robot mode with minor changes, while sticking to the same Beavers thing with just the original touch, like the OG trilogy touch to his designs. And I think Barricade might fall in the same design with maybe more car parts or more of a bulk or maybe even a sharper edges, somewhat like that. And well, the rest, except if we consider Megatron and Barricade, these two are done. Now let's move on to the Decepticon number labeled number three. Now this guy is none other than the Decepticon Dead End. And you may wonder, how do I know this? Well, this is not something to know. They teased us a long time ago. And here's the thing, from the dead end we know from the G1 Cyberverse and all those other Transformers media, the Beaver's interpretation of dead end is kind of much more like what we see with the Dreads, and even worse than the Dreads when I mean it. Like, he's somewhat like a bloodlusted Decepticon who wants revenge, and they didn't mention about Drift's origin being explored. So I think Dead End might have his rivalry with Decepticon. I mean, not the Decepticon. Oh my gosh, the Autobot Samurai Drift himself. But I don't know how his character is gonna be like showcased because he did have this animalistic behavior which was very common in the Revenge of the Fallen comics. Well, you may guys wonder, "Well, what do you mean Revenge of the Fallen comics? What comics?" You guys may wonder. For the ones like the Beavers dieharded fans and the Transformers diehard fans and IDW tie-in comics may remember Deaden appearing in the Revenge of the Fallen comics, and his role was so deadly. So here's what actually happens in the comics. Okay, so this guy actually punched the Autobot roll bar so hard even Deden's own hand got shattered, and he was like, he sensed a few Autobots while they reached Earth, like the post to '07 and the start, somewhere in between Revenge of the Fallen '07 continuity, where this guy actually picked up the traces of the newly landed Autobots and he killed them all. So he did have the animalistic behavior, which I like to call the Dreads behavior, but more violent, of course. But in Rise of Unicron, I'm pretty sure his character is also going to be explored because of Drift's origin being explored. So what I'm going to say is that Dead End, in my opinion, he's going to be much more than a Stunticon as we know him of. He's gonna have much more potential and much more deadlier, and I think this is gonna be by far the strongest version of Dead End you're gonna ever see. And we might see the rivalry between Dead End and Drift, just like B and Barricade, but much more. All right. So, in my opinion, this guy is gonna be showcased a lot. And we did see him in the Autobot showcase trailer when they finished teasing and explaining about the Autobots, and then they gave a little Decepticon teaser. I was actually kind of impressed, but the design. Well, I had a problem with this design because it kind of did support his Revenge of the Fallen design. What I mean here is, look at the design that's showcased here. It kind of looks like a fit, bulky character, yet with the sharp edges and taller and everything. But his design, the showcased in the teaser while it was darkened, did support something like that sideways body type, which I'm kind of against because sideways design is kind of like the bulky yet shortest, uneven curves. And the Audi part, which when they showcased the first time for Dead End, was kind of like something I was not happy with. But this time, I think they made a new Audi. I think they made some sort of an R9 concept for Dead End. and it better be someone like what we see here, like what I labeled. So that's for the number third Decepticon dead end, and I'm very excited for dead end's concept because we might seem something like animalistic at the same time sticking to the base of the Decepticon dead end we know. Now let's move on to the Decepticon number four. And this Decepticon is actually a mystery because it could be legit anyone, like anyone to the core. Well, I initially thought this was Mohawk since they did say some characters are returning for this film. But I don't think it's Mohawk because first of all the body type and Mohawk's tragic end in the last night. Well, Mohawk was shot thanks to B, and his head was like it was kind of like his head is like the only thing, and Mohawk is actually alive, but he lost his body. So I don't think the Decepticons bother with Mohawk anymore, and I think Mohawk is not going to be a valuable member. So I think this can be a newly introduced Decepticon. While there are a lot of options here, mainly knockout from the Beavers, and I know many of you are scratching your heads when I say knockout from the Beavers. Well, knockout does exist in the Beavers, but not like the typical Beaver, typical knockout we know of, like as showcased in Transformers Prime and everything. Because the knockout that was showcased in the Beavers is actually a biker, and he's also an Autobot, and he did have his grudges. I think he was shot and killed by Soundwave. Not Soundwave. Sorry, I think it was Shockwave. Yeah, and Knockout may just tragic end. But since the comics are like kind of loosely connected and not like completely non-canon, I wouldn't say Knockout is dead. Maybe he is dead, but Knockout can actually be a perfect because the bike that showcased was kind of bulky and was accurate to Baver's interpretation of Knockout. But since the bikers we know of and the common ones are actually more of the fembots, like RC, Elita 1, Chromia, like that. And many of us know like there's like Baver's arcade games where we saw many of these female Decepticon drones. So my best guess is it could be a female Decepticon. Maybe it could be their OC, like it could be anyone, but it could also be someone like Flame War, who's just a Decepticon equivalent to RC, but I think she's more ancient. Yeah, she's more ancient. But yeah, but the color scheme is also a problem, but I don't think it won't be a problem because of since some characters like Drift or Hot Rod, they don't support their IDW and G1 accurate, and that is because of the vehicle licensing. But still, I think it could be anyone, legit anyone. And it could also be Oil Slick because Oil Slick is also a very interesting and unique Decepticon biker. And my first initial guess was Brimstone from the Bayverse tie-in comics, but I think he met his tragic end. I'm not sure, but it is someone between like them. Like it could be Knockout, Flame War, Brimstone, and Oil Slick, even Mohawk, or it could also be their personal OC character. Well, this character remains unknown because there's nothing officially teased, but that's all we know for now. But my main guess is it could be someone between Oil Slick or Flame War, any one of those two. Because Oil Slick is such an interesting character, and his weapon arsenal is also very unique and something we kind of like see from Sentinel Prime from Dark of the Moon. Now, next is Decepticon number 5, and this guy, well, he's the one who got the most commonly recognized among this community, and that is, of course, Rob Bomb. Now, Rob Bomb is not like official Decepticon. It's one of their OCs actually. And by the looks of this character, when I saw his this thing, the biography and everything, it was actually this guy. It looks like a Constructicon. Mainly, I think it's the 11th Constructicon, or it could also be the 12th Constructicon because recent Ethereum did say that's 11th Constructicon. But this could be legit. Like, I think it's the 12th the Constructicon. And this guy, by the looks, I think he's by far the tallest. And as we can see, He's at least sort of equivalent to Megatron's height, and I can safely say that this guy is the official heavy hitter of the team. Because of his size and physical appearance, he looks like a supposed threat, and he's also getting a new design, like new designs, maybe remodeled or remastered. And in the concept arts, he did showcase a claw weapon, which is kind of unique, and he did have purple eyes, and he looks kind of tough, very tough actually. And his character is a Constructicon, and I think he's gonna be like the main I think he's gonna have his rivalry main with Hound, because Hound and him are by far the only tallest Decepticons, and Autobots are there in the official Decepticon team other than the leaders. So I think his characteristics, I think, is mainly gonna be like my initial guess when I saw the character, when I saw like his thing. I thought this guy is gonna be instead of I didn't see the construction vehicle yet. I just saw the robot mode, and I thought this guy is gonna be infused with dark energon or something, and because of the purple pupils, of course. But then it could be legit any story, because we do not know anything official, and the Decepticon showcase trailer and the teaser and the explanation is not yet fully revealed. They're working on it. So this guy is supposedly the muscle of the team, and yeah, that's all I can say for Rob Bomb. And let's move on to the Decepticon number 6. Well, this Decepticon can be two members. One can be Berserker making a return, since in the last night is just dumb, okay? Because Berserker can be introduced, but they didn't. They didn't go for it. So there's a perfect chance this can be Berserker, or Berserker's idea can be abandoned, because they did release a Decepticon named Psycon, or I think it was Psychocon, and he looks like a marksman. And I think since they already introduced their OC, and Psycon is OC character, not official character, that guy can suppose huge threat to Autobots such as Cross, as in my opinion, since that guy also did have dual submachine guns. But honestly, I my best guess is it's not Berserker, because the head does not look nothing like Berserker here, and I think it's mainly Psycon and his characters. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited for Psycon. He did have something like a trap in the mouth, like they closed his mouth with a bat trap, similar to Berserker in the movie. So Psycon is going to be something like what we see, it could be a Decepticon marksman, Decepticon sniper, basically anything. The room is open for a lot more ideas, and my best guess is it's their own OC Psycon. And last but not least, this seventh member Decepticon. Well, this Decepticon, I am not 100% sure who could be, but YouTubers such as Fire Brothers said this could be Thundercracker due to the concept art the team said a long time ago. My best guess is this is not Thundercracker, and it can be another newly introduced OC character they introduced a long time when Laszlo Wen was in the team, and it was Brunt. So, well, Brunt's concept vehicle was something like a truck. His new vehicle, as we saw on the Decepticon trailer, I mean, the Autobot teaser, like the end of the trailer, we saw the Decepticon teaser. That is going to be Brunt's new vehicle, because that vehicle was a concept vehicle, not official. This looked more like threads than actual wings. So it's mainly Brunt, and Brunt, unlike as we know of Brunt, is not going to be I don't think it's going to be a drone. Maybe he's going to have more potential. Maybe he's going to have his fight against Cliff Jumper or something. I initially thought this was Thundercracker because of these threats, but then it's obviously threats, and it did not look nothing like Brunt. Brunt was kind of lengthy, was circumference was kind of like big, okay, but then it was like I think they redesigned his design. So these are the Decepticon members that are officially confirmed. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I can't wait for the Rise of Unicron movie to release yet. So all of you guys, and mainly a huge thanks to HNF Productions for reviving the Bayverse. And many of us know Michael Bay is coming back, but I don't think he's going to continue the Bayverse due to the last night's performance in the box office. I think it's mainly going to focus on the rebooted franchise, like the Bumblebee, the Rise of the Beast franchise. Since G.I. Joe is officially confirmed, which we always die-heartedly wanted to see, like these two crossovers. So I think Michael Bay is going to revive that franchise and take that franchise. And the possibilities of him making a Bayverse film, even if he made a Bayverse film, it's likely safe to say the Rise of Unicron film can be a standalone sequel, like a spin-off, a sequel to the Bayverse. Instead of like, since this team has worked more harder than Michael Bay returning, so it's safe to say this can be a standalone sequel or like a standalone spin-off, actually, because that's more safe to say. But I think Michael Bay won't technically direct the Rise of Unicron. I mean, no, not the Rise of Unicron. My bad. Like continue the Bayverse franchise. I think he's mainly going to focus on the rebooted franchise, or there could be a completely restart, like a reboot. What I mean is he can do like anything. Like the room is actually free from much more ideas and much more logic, much more franchise. Since the Transformers are nothing without Michael Bay at this point. Basically, the Bumblebee movie was better than the Rise of the Beast movie because I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of the Maximals. I was not a fan of the Beast Wars because we already have the Dinobots, but still there could be a loyal fans to the Beast Wars fans. I'm not saying that, but still the room is free for any sort of thing that can happen. So let's see what happens in the future. Well, I'm just excited for this movie more than Michael Bay returning. So make sure you guys subscribe, like, share the video to possible members, and I love you guys so much. Red Dragon, peace out.